Hello, and thank you for attending Clarity 16.2.1 Feature Supportability Training. I am Vib Mehrotra, and as part of this section, we will be talking about Clarity Concierge that is being introduced in Clarity 16.2.1. So as part of this release, we are bringing the capability that will use an artificial intelligence to summarize Clarity's project status report. This capability is being released as a beta functionality in this version. The reason this is important is because Broadcom has been working on several AI initiatives, and this functionality is just one of them. More to come in the future. In Clarity, we are bringing this capability to assist our end users with the tedious task of collecting several pieces of information before they can summarize their status report. The status report is a very common and frequently activity that the end users have to perform, and in order to do that, they have to gather a lot of information. What we are going to do with this AI is be able to take that information, collect it automatically, and then generate a summary for the end user based on a lot of those information. This Clarity is the first functionality that will leverage public AI model. Some general information about Clarity Concierge. Again, this capability is being introduced as beta. This capability is only available for status reports within the project object. By default, Clarity Concierge is toggled off for all customers, which means no customer will be able to even see the flag under system option to start configuring this. They will have to open a support ticket in order for them to do any configuration within Clarity. The customers ones that have toggled this functionality on, those customers will have to do the following 4 steps, which are defined in detail in the presentation, and which is 1, they have the support ticket to toggle it on. 2, they need to get a private key for the Google Cloud Platform Service account that has Vertex AI Service access enabled for them. 3rd, they need to get the Gemini AI's API URL. And then 4th will be to then go ahead and do all the configuration within Clarity to use this service. During the demo in this presentation, I will not show how to populate those the service URL as well as the service account, the key in the Clarity integration instance, and that is because that data is sensitive to be exposed. So I will not show how that is done, but all the details, step-by-step instructions are provided in the deck that will be made available. So with that, let's see how this functionality will work. So I am in Clarity 16.2.1 and I am in the studio under the classic UI, and I am in the system options under the studio of Clarity. In here, once the functionality is toggled on, which I have in my environment, when I scroll down, then under the new user experience, I will see this new flag. Again, this flag will not be available unless this feature is toggled on. Once toggled on, this flag will allow the administrator to then enable and configure Clarity Concierge. I would recommend all administrator to read the note that is provided in terms of the type of information that is being shared. As part of this functionality, no sensitive information, no PII information, or any Clarity names or data is being shared with the AI. We only share numerical and date values with the AI to generate the status report. Again, a lot of those details are available in our documentation. So once the administrator has read all the information, they can activate the Clarity Concierge, and saving that will essentially now enable a lot of the functionality within Clarity itself. So next, step for the administrator would be to go ahead and grant the access right to the user. For that, I'm going to go in, and in my case, I'm going to just grant this as part of the administrative all rights. If I go in, so I have a user group where all my administrators have the appropriate access right, and most of our customers do the same. I would go into that group, and I'm going to go ahead and look at the global access right. And under the global access right, I would be able to add the access right to the user. So, and that's in my case, I have already done that. But for customers that are setting this up for the first time, we'll need to manually add it by going to add and then selecting this specific access right, which is the administration Clarity Concierge Navigate. This access right gives the user, whoever has this access, to be able to go to modern UX and in there configure the Clarity Concierge. So let's go there next. So I am right here in the modern UX administration. So when I come in here, you would see that I do not see any Clarity Concierge, but if I refresh my screen, because I have just granted myself access right, a new tile appears right here under the Clarity administration that is called Clarity Concierge. Again, it has the beta tag that this functionality is in beta. Opening this will give me a screen where I can start configuring. Because this functionality right now is only available for the status report object, so that is the only object that will be listed right here. By default, it is disabled for this object. The attribute will be blank, and the user will have to populate the rich text field that they would have created in this object. In my case, let's go ahead and let's look at that also, which is I have in my object, so I'm now going back to my Clarity Studio, and I'm inside the object called status report. And when I go into attributes, I have created a rich text attribute called status narrative. This attribute is not out of the box. This attribute will not be in every user's configuration. So the end user will have to create at least one attribute that will be of this type. If the customer has created more than one, then they can select any one out of those multiple rich text attributes that should be used for summarizing the status report. So let's go back to our modern UX administration. So that one or multiple of those rich text attributes will be listed right here, and the user can select one out of those multiple ones. So once this attribute is populated, the actions, the configure button under action will get enabled. If this attribute field is blank, this configure button will not be displayed. So in my case, I have populated status narrative as the attribute I want to use. I can now use the configure button. Going inside of the configure button, I can see all the data elements that will be used for summarizing my status report. In this case, I can see the actual cost being sent, the end date of my project, milestone, count of the milestones that are there in my project, the total plan cost, the count of the risks that are open and past due, issues, start date, and task. And again, it sends the task of the count of the task in my project. I can use all of these, or I can uncheck any that I don't want to use. So in my case, I don't want to use issues for my status report generation. I can just uncheck that. All right. Once this is done, the administration configuration is done. Again, keep in mind that I'm not showing how to populate the integration instance that needs to be created for this, where the Google clouds, the service account, private key is kept, as well as the Gemini AI URL is kept. That detail is in the documentation, but it is assumed as part of this that that configuration is already done before I am going to now perform the end user functions. All right, so my configuration is all done. The next, I'm just going to go into as an end user, and I'm going to go into one of my project. In this case, I'm going to go into my Able project, and I'm going to go into my status report, where I can see I have the status information in my status canvas. The attribute, that is my rich text field, in this case is available in my status report. And let's refresh the screen because I have just enabled it. As you can see that in my case, because I did not complete the enablement, there is no generate from AI option available. So if the configuration is not complete, then the user will not see the status narrative. The piece that I missed was essentially in my configuration as the administrator. I also had to make sure that I enable that final checkbox. So for that, I'm going to go back into my administration. I'm going to go back into Clarity Concierge. So I've populated the attribute, I've done my configuration, but I did not enable this flag. So now once I enable this, I can go back into my project and I can go back into my status. And now if I scroll down, let me refresh the screen. I now see this new button called Generate with AI available. So now I have done all the configuration. I've given the access right for the administrator. The administrator has gone in, configured the attributes, as well as then checked the box to enable for this specific attribute, and then the button becomes available. So in my project, as you can see, I have several delayed tasks, about 4 of them. I have my total budget of 1.74 million, out of which I've spent about 586. This project started in September, ends in May of next year. I can see all of those timelines. So I have all of that information on my screen. I could either manually type all of this, or I can say, just AI, go ahead and generate this information for me. What we do at this point is we collect those specific data points that were configured by the administrator. We take all of those data points, which again, as a reminder, those data points are numbers and dates only. We share that with the AI, and then it gets those summary information back. And you can see that it's telling me that the project is in progress. It has the start date of September 8th, ends in May. There are about 22 total tasks, and out of those 4 are delayed, which is exactly right here what I see on the screen. There are 5 milestones that have been met without delays, and my budget was about 1.74 million, and out of which I've already spent 586,000 of it. So it took all of that information. It also provides some more detailed assessment as to what action should be taken and any recommendation based on how I can catch up to complete my project in time. So it has summarized all of that information. If there's any change I would like to make, I can easily do so by just clicking on it and then adding my additional information in here. If I don't like the message that is there, and if I want the AI to regenerate this, you can notice that the button is now changed to now calling as Regenerate with AI. Clicking on that gives me additional information. It tells me, do I want to include recommendations? So which you notice at the bottom of my message that I'd gotten back, that they were actual recommendations. I can just uncheck that if I don't want to include those, and I can change the tone from professional to direct if I wanted to. So let's just remove that out. Let's regenerate. Again, it's doing the same thing, which is it is taking the information that I have configured as administrator, and it has sent that information to the AI to regenerate this. This point, it has regenerated that information. It has some of the specific information in terms of the count and the values and so on. And if I scroll down, it has the detail assessment, but it has removed any of its own recommendation because I asked it to regenerate without any recommendation. So I have that flexibility to now summarize all that information based on the information it can collect and send. This concludes our section. Thank you everyone for watching.